Pleasant good afternoon. I am Dexter Sam, Agricultural Assistant 3 with the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Today we are going to focus on the Agricultural Finance Support Program, for short Agro-Incentive Grant. We're going to give you a little PowerPoint presentation and then we'll have a question and answer session. So the Agricultural Finance Support Program, also known as the Agro-Incentive Grant, is up to $100,000 funding. The overall objectives of the Agro-Incentive Grant: 1, to increase the local production, focusing on market stability, reduction in the food import bill, less need for foreign exchange, increased export potential, etc. 2, to modernize and create a competitive agriculture sector, building globally competitive farms and agribusinesses that can penetrate regional and international markets, such as in the areas of agro-processing, value-added products, fisheries, agroforestry, etc. Third overall objective, to encourage the use of modern technologies, equipment, and the use of new technology, especially as a result of climate change. Example, climate smart agriculture, good agricultural practices, protected agriculture, safe and healthy post-harvest packaging, reduction in post-harvest losses, value-added initiative, use of renewable resources. How are the farmers to benefit? The benefits to farmers include investment in modern farming technology or efficient on-farm upgrades and expansion, resisting climate change, increasing production, improving quality, meeting increased demands. 2, reduction in reliance on labor, example, automation, mechanical. 3, reduction in cost of production. 4, more efficient use of water and other renewable resources. Investment in information technology for efficient record keeping. 6, improvement to livestock breeding stock. 7, pursue value-added initiatives, new potential products. 8, improve food health and safety in post-handling and packaging. 9, development of new products via research and development. And 10, new farmers or potential farmers can access financing at the Agricultural Development Bank. Who can qualify for the Agro-Incentive Grant? 1, registered farmers who has a farmer's badge from the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Registered fishermen who are registered with the Fisheries Division with the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Their vessel must also be registered. Licensed woodcutters who will be licensed by the Forestry Division, Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. So licensed sawmillers, same under the Division of Forestry and the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, and those who are doing agro-processing. So agro-processors will need a food badge. The procedure for applying for the grant as follows. A completed application form must be done by the applicant. The application form is accessible online at the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries website, www.agriculture.gov.tt. Person will type in the search bar and search for Agro-Incentive Grant, and there you will find the application form, which is downloadable. On the application form, we ensure that page 2 of the application form is signed and dated, and page 5 is signed and stamped by a commissioner of affidavits. Enclose a copy of your farmer's registration card or license from the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Please copy back and front. Enclose a copy of your national identification card, again back and front. 5, provide a copy of your land tenureship, deed, state lease, permission to use letter, or recognize occupant. 6, provide any evidence of certification in agricultural or related training in agriculture, agribusiness, fish processing, or agro-processing, a food badge or evidence of experience. 7, a business plan. I will go into this further in the following slide. And 8, quotations for your project. So as we spoke about the business plan is the evaluation committee for the Agro-Incentive Grant needs to know about the applicant and what the project or the grant funds would be used for. So 1, include a history about yourself or your agribusiness, years in the agriculture related activity for crops, livestock, fishing, agro-processing, agroforestry, etc. 2, what types of crops you grow, or animals you rear, commodities you produce. 3, who are your markets? Do you sell at the roadside? Do you use NAMDEFCO market? Do you supply to the supermarkets, etc.? Then you would, at number 4, you would put what is your intended use for the grant. Example, if you want to do a storage and sorting grading facility, you want machinery to increase production, protected agriculture, automation of pens or agro-processing facility and equipment, purchasing of breeding animals, etc. Attach photos as necessary. And of course, your project must be accompanied by supporting quotations from a reputable company. Where to drop off applications. Completed applications are to be placed in an envelope and addressed as follows. The chairman of the Agro-Incentive Committee, Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, care of ADB. Envelopes are to be placed in the boxes provided at the following locations. ADB location, Port of Spain, San Fernando, Sandy Grande, and Tobago. And the other area is at head office of the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. The ADB at Shogunas, I must say, is not current right now, so applications will be accepted at the head office branch, Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Assessment criteria. With your application form, when it's downloaded, there is a prelude to the application form, a short read-up on what the grant is for. And in that read-up, there's a criteria, assessment criteria. Application for support under the Agro-Incentive will be evaluated according to the following criteria. Number 1, quality and completeness of documentation, which is 20 points. Second, alignment with government and Ministry of Agriculture policy objectives, 50 points, and value for money, 30 points. Proposal must achieve at least 60 points to approve funding. Some common misconceptions. The Agro-Incentive Grant is a loan to be repaid. No, it's not a loan that has to be repaid. Second misconception, the grant is the same as the Agricultural Incentive Program. No, it's a separate program of the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Third, purchases utilizing grant funds can also be claimed under the AIP. No, the funds provided from the grant should an applicant be successful. The bills cannot be used under the Agricultural Incentive Program for the reason that the farmer would have gotten the money from the Ministry of Agriculture to do their projects, and the money didn't come out their pockets, so they would have been out of pockets. The AIP program is a rebate program. When the farmer spends money out of his pocket, he gets back a percentage in different approved items by the ministry. So it's not the same. Fourth, successful applicants can reapply for another grant. No, the Agro-Incentive Grant is a one-off grant. We reached the questions and answer session. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the first question is, would it be possible to send the PowerPoint presentation to the persons who are attending this platform? Yes, we will send the presentation to you all, but we also like to reiterate that all of this information is available on the website for the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, and it provides a lot of other information as it relates to this grant program. The second question is, does this grant apply to agro-processors who don't plant, etc., what they process? The answer is yes. This grant is available to agro-processors who are processing local commodities and who do not grow the vegetables or fruits or livestock or honey or any other related agro-processed item themselves. To the person who requested the location of the office of the ADB in Tobago, please look at your chat box. We sent a link where you can locate the building. The question, there's another question that says, where can new business in agri-processing register to receive the food badge to be eligible for this grant? Your public health offices are the office that you have to visit in your county. Your county public health offices are the offices where you can proceed to apply for the food badge that will be a support to this grant once you are applying. Open. So there is an open-end comment that says, for the person who are working state land, I assume you would like to know whether you can apply for the grant using state lands. So we will require in addition to your farmer's badge that proof of use of state lands, but please feel free to reach out to us afterwards via the ministry to get more information on exactly what you're alluding to with this comment. Will the grant application be recognized if the land on which I am farming is not in my name? The answer is yes. However, there will have to be proof of ability of the owner of the land to allow you to farm on the land. So once you have some legal proof that you were granted status to utilize the land for a particular period of time, yes, you will be allowed to apply for the grant.
May I add?
Yeah.
May I add that if you get permission to use, it's the same affidavit that you use to get the farmer's registration at the county. It's the same affidavits we will accept at the committee when applying for the 100,000 grant as proof of land tenureship or authorization to use land for agriculture. Next question, I can't see.
Can someone with less than an acre who has been planting consistently apply?
Yes, anyone can apply once you are registered with the ministry. The registration with the Ministry of Agriculture, farmers need at least a minimum of one lot of land planted at the time of the officer's visit in order to get the farmer's badge. So once you have a farmer's badge, it qualifies you to apply for the grant.
Next. Is this recording available for future reference? The answer is yes. This recording will be made available for future reference. Next question. If the farmer's already machinery and is in need of transportation to transport his produce, can they apply? We may need some clarification on that question. So if you can just clarify, we'll be able to answer your question.
I'm thinking he is asking about the vehicle incentive. If the grant is to purchase vehicles or assist in purchasing a vehicle, and it's no. The regular agricultural incentive program that is attached to the farmer's badge, we have that program there where you have up to you can buy certain vehicles up to $50,000 and you get rebate. So no for the 100,000 grant if it's to purchase vehicles.
Right. Next question. Again, if that is not the answer you were looking for, and if that's not the interpretation of the question, please feel to reach out to us again. And the question is, they have their farmer's card but cannot get a document for cultivating the land. Any way to move forward?
More information on that question.
Yeah, I don't understand.
We
Interesting.
will require additional information on that question, so please feel free to reach out to us to provide the additional information so that we can assist to answer. What is the length of time for processing of the applications by the ministry? Each application has there is no specific time for the processing of applications, primarily because each applicant is treated on a case-by-case basis. Each applicant has a varying amount of validation and verification that the evaluating committee will have to ensure before the application moves on to the next stage for final decision making. So there is no fixed time, but the committee commits to verifying and validating all information before it in a reasonable amount of time, generally no longer than 6 weeks. And on that note, I'd like to reiterate that a particular section of the form asks the applicant to provide cell phone numbers or contact numbers, email addresses. I'd just like to remind applicants that it's important that you put your correct number so that when the committee wants to contact you to verify or validate data, it's not going to take a long process and we can quickly move along with the form. So, is there a maximum amount for the grant?
As I mentioned before, it's up to 100,000, right? The evaluating committee will determine if the project is in alignment with the government cabinet note and Ministry of Agriculture policy to achieve the entire 100,000, and it's a one-time, one-off grant. So it's one time up to $100,000.
Can first-time or startup farmers apply for grants?
Yes, first-time or startup farmers can apply for the grant. As I said in one of the benefits to farmers, they have the access to the ADB bank to use the 100,000 once they are successful with the application at the committee level. They can take the 100,000 and apply it as collateral at the Agricultural Development Bank and take a loan against it if they need more money to start up, as starting up may incur more than 100,000 in some cases.
Can you apply for security fencing camera service using the grant?
On a case-by-case basis.
This will be treated on a case-by-case basis, so we do encourage you to submit your application. Where can we pick up the forms to apply for the grant? So the forms are available online at the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries website. under the section Grants and Incentives. We're going to share the link for the forms in a short while.
Yeah, the forms don't send by security.
We will also make forms available at the security desk, head office, Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. The next question is a farmer's badge required?
Yes, that's one of the main requirements for accessing up to the 100,000 grant. You must be registered with the Ministry of Agriculture, registered as a farmer, registered as a fisherman, registered as a licensed woodcutter, and registered as a licensed sawmiller. And well, agro-processing do not require a badge, but you have to have at least your food badge.
Is this grant available to persons who want to construct a building to do agro-processing?
Case by case basis.
These applications will be treated on a case-by-case basis. So we do encourage you to complete the application. Can you apply for a grant to construct a greenhouse?
Yes.
The answer is yes. If you are in the process of having your lease renewed, can you still apply? You will have to show evidence that you are in the process of renewing your lease to support the application. Where is the Chaguanas office located? I am assuming you're speaking about the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries Chaguanas office. It's at the corner Nasala Ramaya Road and Sugrim Trace in Chaguanas. Next to the it's in the middle of the Heartland Plaza and the Nagar site. So those two landmarks bound the building. Can the grant be used to upgrade poultry, farms, or pens? The answer is yes.
Definitely yes. We have seen farmers use the grant who were successful to automate the chicken pen so that feeding is not manual. Press of a button, the feed comes down on a conveyor belt and enters the pan at a certain amount of feed. So it can be used for poultry and other animals as well, for upgrade and expansion and automation.
Can the forms be available at the ADB offices? Unfortunately, those are our collection centers, so the forms will not be available there. However, we will consider the request. Do you have to register your business to apply for the grant? It depends on if you are applying as an agro-processor. Yes, it would be important that your business is registered and that your premise of operation has a certificate of free sale, so that we understand that you would have established the minimum food safety protocols to process food for human consumption. The next question is, my food badge is a REMA, but I am thinking about removing 2 Chaguanas. Can I still qualify? Once your food badge is valid, yes, you will qualify. Do you have a specific format for the business proposal plan? There is no specific format. However, there are certain bouts of information that's important that you include in your business plan. So format is okay. The content is what the committee pays particular attention to. So as Mr. Sam would have reiterated, there are some key areas, some key bits of information that the committee would look forward to in reviewing your business plan.
Just to repeat, we want to know a little history about your business. How long you're in farming, what type of crops you grow, vegetables, maybe different types of livestock. If you are into milking or meat, um, what, who are your markets? If it's supermarkets, if it's Defco, if you're selling by the roadside, or you have people come in and take it from you and carry it elsewhere, a middleman, and then you tell us what you want to access the 100,000 grant for. So if it's, for example, you're expanding your sheep pen and you want to expand your sheep pen to by 20 or 30 feet, we need to know that. And then you get quotations to support the expansion and upgrade.
Providing some quotations. The quotations must be supplied to the applicant.
Yes, and well, quotation must be supplied with the application because it's important to know. We don't work with estimates. We want to get an actual or close to actual figure of what your project costing.
This would support the proof of the use of the fund for which you are applying. If you use the grant, can you apply for other grants or incentives later on?
Repeat the question.
If you use the grant, can you apply for other grants or incentives later on?
In terms of this agricultural financial support program, the Agro-Incentive Grant, 100,000 up to 100,000, it's a one-off grant. In terms of the Agricultural Incentive Program, which is attached to the farmer's card, you can reapply every year for your regular incentives. That is continuous on a yearly basis. In terms of other ministries, I can't answer for other ministries. I know there are other grants and other ministries that farmers can access. You will have to seek information from the other ministries in terms of that.
Can you apply to build infrastructure like roadway and drainage?
No. The answer to that is no. That is a misconception in that people think that they can apply to do primary agriculture. It's not for primary agriculture. Let me explain. Primary agriculture is like clearing land, plowing, rotavating, drainage, roadways. No. The grant under the Agricultural Incentive Program attached to your farmer's registration card, these projects of land clearing, roadway, building roadways, etc. Once you have a rebate program under the AIP, that if you spend money in these areas, you're gonna get back a percentage. So the 100,000 grant does not cross over into that. It operates as itself for more technology, new equipments, and new techniques.
I'd invite you to look at the full gamut of new technologies that the grant will access you the ability to apply for on the Ministry of Agriculture website. If you want to go into agriculture and you do not have land, does the government give agricultural land?
To answer that question, just briefly, because I'm not a state land officer, you need to check with the state land department or the Commissioner of State Lands in El Socorro to find out what lands are available or when they would be advertising, or it's only accessible when they advertise, you apply. But you could check with your county offices, state land office, or the El Socorro Commissioner of State Lands.
How can boat owners apply for the grant to apply for an engine? So the process is simple. Submit your proof of registration of your boat, proof of registration of your Fisher Folk badge, a quotation for the engine, proof of your business plan in terms of that you are a Fisher Folk, what you have been doing, what's your area of specialty, and the purpose of getting a new engine, whether it is to meet the new legislation, to improve your efficiency, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the basic information that we will require for persons who would like to apply to purchase a new engine for their boat. It says here, I am a farmer and a fisherman, and I would like to know if you can get assistance with boat engines and escalator for farming. Well,
Excavator.
okay, we assume you meant to say excavator. So the answer is yes. For the boat engine, in terms of the excavator, which is a bigger piece of equipment, you may have to apply through the incentive program for that.
To be considered.
Yes. Are applicants updated or guided or can reapply if unsuccessful on first applications? All applicants are contacted and they are guided based on the application that they would have submitted. So, yes, you will be guided.
We have a screening process, and during that screening process, the committee looks at the attachments, the business plan, the quotations, the farmer's registration if it's up to date, and the land tenureship. Should you be missing any documents or it's expired, the committee will reach out to you. Or if the project is not in alignment with the government cabinet note or ministry's policy, the ministry committee personnel will reach out to you and advise you accordingly to either submit updated information or submit quotations you probably didn't add in, or tell you that you were unsuccessful at this time to reapply with the projects in mind related to the cabinet note for the grant and or the ministry's policies.
Is there a tax break on panel vans?
That is under the Agricultural Incentive Program. You will get VAT off of the vehicle, and you will get rebate on the vehicle, the different type of vehicle that you want to purchase, because there's different types under the Agricultural Incentive Program, which is not to be mixed up with the Agro-Incentive Grant.
If the area for processing is at the farmer's residence and not on the land being planted, is that okay? Simple answer is yes. Of course, you will have to meet the regulatory guidelines for the establishment of a food processing facility, despite its location. Once you have land tenureship, of course, for the area that the processing facility is erected, you may apply for the grant. How many grants will be granted, and how is the amount determined, as it states up to $100,000?
Okay, the grant is, repeat the question again, please.
How many grants will be granted?
Right, so let me answer the first part. I repeat again from the PowerPoint presentation, it's a one-off grant of up to 100,000. And the second part of the question is how
is the amount determined, as it states up to $100,000?
Okay, so to answer that question, a farmer puts up a project for two things: to upgrade his chicken pen, which is, let's say, 60,000, and in the project as well, he wants to plow and drain a piece of land for 40,000. The second part of the project is not in alignment with the 100,000 grant that will fall under the Agricultural Incentive Program. So in this instance, because he's upgrading the chicken pen, for example, or expanding it for 60,000, he is in alignment with the government policy to be awarded that amount for the grant from the grant. So he will only receive $60,000. The other part of the project would not be accepted because that is not in alignment with the cabinet note, and that is under the agricultural incentive program.
A second part to that answer is, if, for example, you are applying for the grant to invest in some modern agriculture technologies, maybe some climate smart agriculture systems, and the cost of that system is in excess of $100,000, you will be eligible to the maximum amount of the grant, which is $100,000, and you will have to seek additional funding to cover the additional amounts that the system will cost. So that's what it means, up to. You can apply for the maximum amount of funding applicable to this grant, which is $100,000. What document can be provided for experience? Experience in terms of certificates, in having been trained in a particular area, your maybe testimonies from your clients, maybe testimonies from persons higher up in the hierarchy of the particular project that you're working on or commodity that you're working on. These are information that can be provided as evidence. Primarily, your certificates will work. Whatever training that you would have completed over time, those documents will suffice the requirements of the grant application process.
May I add that we understand that not everybody will have certification from a school or university. So most farmers for this program, you have to be registered, and therefore you will have a district officer. So we also have links with the district officer who could vouch for you that you're doing farming for the last 30 years, 40 years, some people 50 years. So we will accept your experience because it's also on the application form. Your experience will count.
The next question is, can you elaborate on the business plan? Can you provide us with exactly which area of the business plan you require further elaboration?
Well, from the previous answer, we will like mostly focusing on the actual project of your that you're applying for the 100,000 grant. We will want most of your details in that area, so the committee has a clear idea of where the funds will be issued for on your project.
So please don't be deterred by the word business plan. We encourage you to provide the information that you have, and the committee will work with you. As I said, we are subject to a lot of verification and validation, and the committee will reach out to you in the event that there are certain pockets of information required to fully substantiate the business plan that's presented for consideration. So we will reach out to you for additional information on the business plan if that's required. How long will this grant be available, as my documents are still processing? It depends on what documents you are looking at processing. As again, depending on the documents, if you have proof of whatever documents is processing, it may be one document that's deterring you from submitting your application. Please submit the evidence that the document is processing, and it will be considered by the committee. Should further information be required, you will be contacted by the committee. Is there any specific dimension of paper when printing the grant application form? No. You can feel comfortable to print it on any size of paper. Can two applications be submitted for different ideas?
Someone off grant.
Yeah, we prefer that you
Focus on one
focus,
project.
yeah, stick to one
Project.
idea, and because it will take a little bit of doing. You will have to write different business plans. You will have to get quotations to support it. So we prefer that you zero in on exactly what you want to do. Remember too, your business plan is proof that your enterprise is going to be successful, or it is going to move on to the next stage of commercialization. So we would like a certain level of firm information, confirmed information that this is what you want to do and this is what you're going to be using the grant for. If I did not apply for the grant this year, will next year have the same $100,000 grant again? Unfortunately, at this point in time, we can't answer that question. So, but we will continue to keep you informed, and we do encourage you to apply for the grant as soon as possible. What if I have the experience but never registered? Assuming you never registered as a farmer?
Yeah, that is for them.
Yes. Okay. Well, that is one of the mandatory requirements to apply for the grant. So I'm going to let Mr. Dexter Sam provide some more information on why it is important that you register as a farmer. And he's going to give you some guidelines on how to register. So we do encourage you to register.
Right. So two of the major requirements of the grant is you must be registered as a farmer with the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, and you must have proof of land tenureship. So registration, you go to the county in which you live and register. You need to supply two forms of ID, proof of land tenureship, and your last land tax receipt. Right? If you're getting permission to use, you need to get permission from the person and attach the deed and the copy of their ID as well. And you need to supply a copy of your national ID back and front. And you go into the county in where you reside.
So we have a follow-up question here on the poultry equipment for manual labor. The question is, what type of justification can be used in the business plan when used for upgrade of poultry equipment for manual labor? The justification the question is asking.
Repeat that question.
What type of justification can be used in the business plan when used for upgrade? When used for upgrade of poultry equipment from manual labor. Your justification may be based on your increase in commercial activity, your lack of availability of labor, your need to meet certain standards, industry standards, as it relates to poultry. So you just tell the committee why you are switching from manual labor to an automated system. That's the primary level of justification that's needed. You may be increasing the size of your farm. You may have additional orders. You may have a decrease in the labor availability. More importantly, you may want to meet certain industry standards as it relates to the poultry industry. You may have to take particular records on your farm to meet a particular client's request. So these are some of the justifications. You may have others. We encourage you to note it and submit it in your application if you're applying for equipment to automate your poultry farm.
Next question. Okay, so
Go ahead.
okay, so we are about to wrap up, and just a reminder on some key points. You need to be registered, and you need to show proof of land tenureship. We need to get a copy of your national ID card back and front. We need a copy of your farmer's badge back and front, a copy of your land tenureship or proof of it. Only copies. The only originals that we take is the quotations. Remember your business plan. We want to hear a little bit about yourself, your business, who you supply to, what type of animals you rear, what type of crops you grow, what is the reason for the grant, what you want to do with the grant, what project, supply quotations. You submitting at you putting on the outside of the envelope to the chairman of the Agro-Incentive Committee, Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, care of the ADB, the Agricultural Development Bank. We have locations in Port of Spain, Sandy Grande, San Fernando, and you're dropping off at head office, Ministry of Agriculture head office,
Tobago.
and also in Tobago at the ADB. Anything else I missed out?
Yes. Your farmer's registration cards or badges must be up to date. Your ID cards must be up to date. We cannot overemphasize the need for available telephone contact information and or email information, and we look forward to hearing from you all soon. We are available for further comments, questions, and we invite you to continue to apply to the Agro-Incentive Grant. On behalf of the chairman and the other members of the committee, of the Evaluating Committee of the Agro-Incentive Grant, we say thank you, and we look forward to chatting with you all soon and reviewing your applications.